Man, so with this car, I feel like every single part that I'm adding onto it makes the previous part that I installed look even better. For example, the side skirts look good, but they look even better with the wing on. Now we got the wing, now we get the side skirts, and now we're gonna go with some nice fenders.
And now, you're watching the I Can Remember a Million Things, but the second I walk through the door at the gas station, I forget which pump I'm on channel of YouTube. Welcome to BodeVision.
Hey, so what is up and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another video. So, the last video with this car, with the EG hatch, we got the wing on, looking really good, looking really nice. I am happy with how that came out. And then a couple of videos back, we got the side skirts. PCI side skirts, PCI wing. Now everything that we have done thus far is really aero-esque or really track-like. And now what we're going for, I know you saw it in the thumbnail, I know you saw it in the title, but right here, charge speed, fiberglass fenders. They have that little cutout right there, looking really nice. And then they also have a little piece, this piece right here goes down the bumper. So the fender actually sticks out a little bit wider, and rather than it being wider and falling off, it continues onto this piece right here. Something like that. So this video might be kind of quick, but I want to get these fenders thrown on, see how they look. I might have to do a little bit of shaving, a little bit of trimming, because in my experience, fiberglass parts don't always fit perfectly because they're just popping them out of a mold, making a couple at a time, and I understand that. So we got to get the fenders put on. That should be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Then we got to get these bumper pieces put on. There's these little holes right there. And that should be pretty straightforward as well. But I don't want to jinx this whole process, so let's just go ahead and get started. So the fenders are off, and realistically I was just throwing them for a little dramatic effect. They're so rusted, they're so beat up that we're not going to be using them anyways. If you can see, they're all rusty, all gross. So like I said, if they were in good condition, I wouldn't disrespect them like that, but there's nothing there, so I can't disrespect nothing. So what I got to do now, you know what the next step is. We just got to go ahead and throw them on. And why don't I just do that right now? This is very straightforward. And with this being fiberglass, this thing is light, which is really cool. Let's see here. So you can see the hole right there. Right there is lined up. And let me just put a couple bolts in, and then we'll figure out what else is going on. Now at first glance they do look good enough, but good enough, that's not good enough around here, not at all. So something that I think probably happened, something that I suspect is the mold is the mold. I'm not too mad, or I'm not mad at all. I'm not disappointed in the mold, but where the holes were drilled, way off. The hole is actually about right here, and then this hole is there. And then if we did move this forward just say 1/4 of an inch, this gap is already way bigger than what I would like to see. It's definitely not passable in my opinion. Gap is too big. Then if we move this forward, that gap would become even bigger, so that's not gonna work. And then also we see that tab in there, that's pretty far off as well. So if we moved it forward, it would be going even further in the wrong direction. And then also as I'm closing the hood, it kind of binds up a little bit right in here, which that's no big deal. That's to be expected. Even when you're putting OEM fenders on, you gotta kind of you know, make sure the hood and the fenders all work in unison like they should, and that's no big deal. As far as where the holes are, I'm gonna have to go ahead and widen those out and put the holes where they need to be, but that's all right. That's why we're doing the mock-up phase, and I'd rather mess with them now as opposed to after paint. So this install is not gonna be as quick as I thought it was going to be, but the good news is the problem, it's not that bad. I just gotta work a little bit. So now, after a little while of trying to make this right, the biggest problem that I see and the biggest problem that I'm having is the fact that this right here is pushed in too far, meaning I'm like crashing into the door right here. These need to be level, or worst case scenario, if the fender was sticking out a little bit more, because as the door opens, it actually goes in a little bit. See how it goes right there really closely? Just by the nature of the swing, that's what happens. So if this was level, it would tuck underneath the fender, but since the fender is below it or further back, that means this gap has to be quite a bit bigger, and I think that it looks really ugly the way that it looks, but it might not be so bad. And another thing that I was thinking about these fenders is they're meant for a track car, and track cars, they're not really worried about stuff like panel gap and making sure that's all really nice and dialed in. Don't get me wrong, track cars look nice, but it's just kind of a different mentality when it comes to a track car. They only care about the function of it, the fact that they're fiberglass, they cut some weight, the fact that they're a little bit wider, you can run some wider tires, and so on and so forth. Their biggest concern is not tiny panel gap like I'm kind of worried about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it look as best as I possibly can for right now. I'll maybe spend a little bit more time on it later, but what I want to do is I just kind of want to go ahead, see where it's sitting, make a couple adjustments. This hole definitely needs to be adjusted. I need to do a little bit of drilling right there. That one is pretty close, and this one, that one is good as well. So just gotta make out one more little cut, and then I'm gonna mount it on, and I'm gonna do the same thing for the other side. Then I'm gonna put the bumper up to it and see exactly how to mount on those little bumper corner pieces. So for just over $400, this side fits the exact same as the other side. I'm not gonna go ahead and say that they fit pretty bad because I don't wanna bash the company. I'm gonna let the way that they fit speak for itself. They fit horrible. So anyways, here we go. As you can see, we got the paint all chipped up on the door because again, this gap is way off and it just hits it. So it just hits it. So I'm gonna have to work these a little bit more, but right now in the mock-up phase, I guess I'm okay with this. But for more than $400, I don't really know how I feel about this product. But again, the way that I can justify this is by saying it's a track product and it's just doing its track thing. So I'm not mad about it. It's just gonna be a little bit more work like I was saying. But overall, they do look good with the theme of the car. They look really aggressive. One thing about these is we can run actually a wider tire because they are wider. And now you can see over here, this little duct is pretty cool. And by the time the car is black, and then the panel gaps are gonna be a little bit off, but those shadows are gonna be black too. So from standing back, you won't really be able to see it that much. Now, I don't really like to justify any flaws, but that's what I'm doing. So as you can see, those little extensions, they just go on the corner right here, and they just kind of screw in right there. I just put some stainless steel self-tapping screws, and then you still use the OEM mounting stuff from the regular bumper. This has no mounting, so this is mounted in under there to right there. So that's looking really good. And then the reason why I pulled the bumper off is because I want to go ahead and throw on these new, well, not new to the build headlights. These are just some really clean, nice Stanley headlights with the clear corners looking really good, and that's going to pull this entire front end together. So coming to the end of the day, I gotta get out of here. So right now this bumper is just being held on by some zip ties, so it doesn't exactly line up as good as it could or as good as it is going to. But man, dude, take a look at it. I think it looks pretty cool, looking pretty good. Definitely goes with the whole track build thing that we're going for. And then the fenders with the side skirts, the big wang gang. I think it looks good. So kind of giving a little recap, fiberglass, I know that the parts aren't going to be perfect. I would have liked these to be a little bit better than how they are, but it is all good. We can't always get lucky every single time. And overall, these are all going to be aftermarket parts, so we got to know that we got to do some work, and it looks really good. Also, headlights, man. Those look really good too. And then there's some tabs on the backs of the headlights, and there's some holes drilled into the fenders that those tabs on the back of the headlights, they go into perfectly. So that was really nice to see. That way everything looks really good as far as panel gap right in here. That looks really good. I'm definitely happy with that. Now the fenders and the hood, all that stuff is going to have to be aligned eventually, but we will get there. We are making progress with every single day, every single upload, and every single video. It is just getting better and better. Man, I cannot wait to get into doing some body work, get this thing painted, get the motor going. All that is to come. So that's going to be it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like this video. Please subscribe to see what I have coming up, and also do everything, do all the stuff. You know what it is, YouTube. I'll see you on the next one.